we can see that in the context here is that Abraham's sacrificial and extreme act of obedience was proof of his faith to men. But God already knew what was in his heart. Genesis 15:6, and he believed the Lord, and it was counted unto him as righteousness. That happened before this. So when it says justified by works, that doesn't mean you're justified by works before God, but you're justified to man that your faith is genuine by your works. Dukeu, it's vindicated. But to God, he had already been made right. So Abraham was already received by grace through faith, but his act of bringing Isaac to the altar was a justification or proof that what he claimed that he believed about God was actually true. He put his actions where his mouth was. Amen. And he showed the entire world that his faith, that the father of faith was not a fraud, he was not a fake, but he was true to Jesus Christ and to God the Father by doing what he did. And we have to see in this story, if you're aware of it, for those of you who have looked at the story of Abraham bringing Isaac as a sacrifice after God asked him to, you have to understand that it wasn't just that he was willing to sacrifice his son, which is big enough of a sacrifice and a commitment in itself, but it was also that Abraham was promised that he would be the father of many nations and that those nations would come through Isaac. He's literally laying on the altar the very promise of God for his entire life. He's laying everything on the line. That's faith. Here's the thing. Here's what Abraham knew. Abraham knew God would not cancel his word. Abraham knew that God would not go back on his word. Abraham knew God would be faithful. So even if he were to kill his son Isaac in this moment, somehow, some way, he would resurrect him or he would stop it or something would happen. And what God said was going to happen regardless of how sticky the situation looked. And so he was going to follow through no matter the fact of whether it made sense or not. Because God asks us to do things all the time that doesn't make a lick of sense. But when you have genuine faith, you do it anyway. Because you know he'll never go back on his word. He's not a liar. He will not be mocked. So Abraham put him out there. What happened? He went to kill his son. God stopped him. Now, why did he do this? Is God playing some sick game with Abraham? No. He is foreshadowing what he would do someday to his own son on the cross. But this time he wouldn't stop it. He would go through with it. For the redemption of all of us. It was a foreshadow. It was painting a picture, as is the whole Old Testament. The whole Old Testament is all pointing to Jesus Christ. It's all the language, all the figurative. It's all pointing to the arrival of Jesus Christ. The whole book points at him. And so he gives us an example. He saves Isaac, he fulfills his promise, and he credits onto Abraham as a man of great faith. The key here is someone with real faith will always prove that real faith before men. You can say that you serve Christ all you want, but other people really know if that's true or not. Is your faith vindicated? We live in the show me state. Show me. You say you've given your life to Jesus. Show me. Not through religious rituals and actions, but through your faithfulness. Through your commitment to the gospel. Through the righteous actions of which you credit God and not yourself.